Asterisk. The night sky above the alien city was filled with glowing lights. But the streets below told a darker story. In the center of the city stood the slave market, a place where the hopeless were bought and sold like broken tools. The air smelled of smoke, sweat, and rust. The sound of laughter and shouting echoed through the wide square. Cages lined the market floor. Each cage held someone who had been captured in war, stolen from their homes, or born into misery. Traders shouted prices while buyers walked past, judging with cold eyes. Some slaves were strong and fetched high bids. Others, weak and starving, were ignored like trash. But in one corner, half hidden by shadows, sat a small figure that no one wanted. She was a girl, thin, her skin pale and scarred. Chains bound her wrists and ankles. Her eyes stared at the ground. Empty of hope, her clothes were torn. Her body shivered in the cold. The traders mocked her, laughing at her silence. Only 10 credits, one alien shouted, his voice loud and cruel. 10 credits for this useless thing. His words were followed by more laughter. The crowd saw no value in her. To them she was nothing but a shattered piece of life, a slave too broken to work. The girl heard every word but did not react. She had been called worthless many times before. To her, this was normal. This was all she knew. She no longer believed in rescue. She no longer believed in kindness. She thought her story would end here, forgotten in chains. Then something strange happened. Through the noise and smoke, a human appeared. He walked slowly through the market, his steps calm. His eyes scanned the cages one by one. Some traders tried to call him over, offering their strongest slaves. But the human ignored them. His gaze moved until it stopped on the girl in the shadow. For a moment, silence seemed to fall around him. He stood in front of her cage, his eyes meeting hers. She quickly looked away, thinking he too would laugh, but he did not. His face was serious, and his eyes carried something she had not seen in a long time: pity, or perhaps respect. How much? The human asked, his voice steady. The traders smirked, eager to make a fool of him. 10 credits, the alien said, his laughter already rising. 10 credits for the broken one. You want her? She is not worth even that, but if you pay, she is yours. The crowd around burst into cruel laughter again, but to their shock, the human pulled out the credits without hesitation. He handed them over, and the deal was done. The traders laughed louder, shaking their heads. The foolish human bought garbage, one muttered. What a waste. Another shouted. The cage door creaked open. The girl did not move. She thought it must be a trick, another cruel game. But the human knelt down, his voice gentle. Come, he said, holding out his hand. She hesitated, her body trembling. No one had spoken to her like that before, not since she was free. The sound of laughter filled her ears. But the human's voice cut through it like a light in darkness. Slowly, with fear and doubt heavy in her heart, she stepped forward. The chains clinked as she walked, her legs weak, her body close to falling. The human supported her, steadying her with his arm. The crowd mocked them both. She will die before morning. Someone said, humans are fools. Another shouted, but the human ignored them all. As they left the market, the girl glanced back one last time. The cages still full of misery, the laughter still echoing. She knew the traders expected her to fail. They expected her to die in the dirt. But for the first time in many years, she felt something strange inside her chest. It was not hope, not yet, but it was something close. The human led her through the noisy streets, his steps strong and certain. She wondered who he was. Why had he chosen her when he could have bought someone strong, someone useful? She wanted to ask, but fear kept her silent. Still, a small question grew in her mind. Could this human truly see worth in someone everyone else had thrown away? Could he see something in her that she could no longer see in herself? The market behind them faded into the night. The laughter of the crowd grew distant, but the echo of one truth remained. In a place where she had been priced at 10 credits, a human had given her something far greater than money. He had given her a chance, and though the girl could not yet believe it, her story was only beginning. Asterisk, the girl's bare feet dragged against the cold stone as the human led her away from the market. Her chains rattled with every step. Each sound reminded her of her place. She was still a slave, only now owned by someone different. The city around them was alive with noise. Vendors shouted, machines hummed, strange lights blinked from alien shops. But inside the girl's heart there was only silence. She did not dare to speak. She expected the human to treat her as the others had, with cruelty, orders, or blows. The human, however, walked calmly. His hand never struck her. His voice never raised. He guided her gently through the streets until they reached a small dock where ships rested like sleeping beasts. One of them, simple and old, clearly belonged to him. He stopped and pressed a button. The ramp lowered with a hiss. He turned to her and said only 2 words. "Come inside." His tone was not harsh, not demanding, just steady. The girl hesitated. Her mind screamed warnings. What if this was a trap? What if he bought her to use her in some darker game? Her legs shook, but the human waited patiently. Not pulling, not forcing. Finally, with weak steps she obeyed. Inside the ship, the air smelled different, cleaner, warmer, safer. The walls were plain, the lights soft. There was no laughter here, no shouting, no crowd to mock her. She almost felt her chest loosen, though fear still held her tightly. The human led her to a small seat. He reached into a compartment and brought out a package. Slowly, he opened it, revealing food. The smell reached her nose, warm bread, simple soup, something she had not tasted in years. He placed it before her. "Eat," he said. Her eyes widened. She looked from the food to him, waiting for the trick, waiting for the slap when she touched it. But he simply stepped back, arms crossed, watching. Her hands shook as she reached for the bread. She bit into it, and tears filled her eyes. The taste was real. The warmth spread through her body. She ate quickly, as if the food would vanish. The human did not stop her. He let her eat until every crumb was gone. When she finished, she whispered, almost too soft to hear, "Why?" The human tilted his head. "Why what? Why feed me?" Her voice cracked. "Why buy me? I am nothing. I am broken." For a long moment, he was silent. His eyes studied her, as if trying to see through her scars. Then he answered, his words slow and firm. "Because you are alive, and that is enough." She froze. Her mind could not understand. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not even before the chains. She felt a strange pain in her chest, a pain that was not fear, but something softer, something she had almost forgotten. Still, doubt burned inside her. She whispered again, "You paid 10 credits for a waste. Everyone laughed at you." The human's lips curved into a faint smile. "Let them laugh," he said. "I did not buy you for them. I bought you for you." She did not understand what that meant, but his words lingered, circling in her mind like small sparks in the dark. He moved to another corner of the ship, preparing controls. The engines hummed. The floor trembled. The ship lifted slowly, leaving the dock and the cruel market behind. Through the window, she saw the city shrinking, its lights fading into distance. For the first time, she felt chains that were heavier than metal. They were inside her heart, chains of fear, chains of shame. Could this human break them, or was this only another prison? As the ship entered the quiet of space, she curled up in her seat, watching him carefully. He worked calmly, as if her presence was nothing strange. She waited for commands, for punishment, for the harsh voice she knew so well. But none came. Instead, after some time, he turned to her and asked, "Do you have a name?" She looked away. Ashamed, "It was taken," she whispered. "I was called many things, but not a name." The human nodded slowly, his voice softened. "Then we will find it again." Her chest tightened. Her eyes burned. She wanted to speak, to ask how, but no words came. She only lowered her head, hiding the tears she could not stop. The market had laughed at her, called her worthless, but this human saw something else, something she did not yet believe in. And though fear still ruled her, A quiet thought began to grow inside her. Perhaps her life was not over. Perhaps her story had just begun. As the stars stretched outside the window, she whispered to herself, so soft he could not hear, "Why me?" And somewhere deep within, a voice she thought was long dead answered, "Because you are worth more than 10 credits." The hum of the ship filled the silence, steady and low. The girl sat curled in the corner of her seat, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. She did not trust the quiet. Quiet often came before pain, before orders, before screams. The human moved about calmly, pressing buttons, adjusting controls. He did not look at her often. And when he did, his gaze carried no anger, no cruelty. It made her uneasy. She knew how to survive under hatred, but she did not know how to survive under kindness. Time passed slowly. The stars drifted by outside the window. Her eyes stared at them, but saw only memories. Each star reminded her of a place she had been taken, a cage, a whip, a dark cell. Her body remembered even when she tried to forget. The human broke the silence at last. His voice was quiet, steady. "You should rest." Her head snapped up. Fear flickered in her eyes. "Rest," she repeated, as if the word was strange. "Yes." He said, "You are safe here." The word safe echoed inside her mind like something from a dream. She wanted to laugh, but her throat was too dry. Safe was a word for other people, not for her. She had lived too long under chains to believe in it. She shook her head. "No place is safe." She whispered, "Not for me." The human leaned back in his chair. He did not argue. He did not shout. He simply said, "Tell me." Her heart pounded. She wanted to stay silent. To speak was dangerous. To speak meant remembering. But his voice was steady, and his eyes waited without force. Slowly, words began to slip out. "I was taken when I was small," she whispered. "There was a war. My people lost. They put us in cages. They sold us like animals." Her fingers dug into her knees, trembling. "I was bought, sold, used, passed from one hand to another. Every place the same, chains, beatings, laughter." Her voice broke, but she kept speaking. "I tried to fight once. They broke my arm. I tried to run once. They burned my back. I stopped trying. I learned to be quiet, quiet lives longer." The human's eyes darkened. His fists clenched on the armrest, but his voice remained calm. "And now," he asked, "do you still believe you are nothing?" Tears burned her eyes. "I am broken," she whispered. "Every part of me is scarred, inside and out. Who would want something like me?" The human leaned forward. His voice grew firm. "You are not broken. You are alive. That is enough." Her breath caught. His words pressed against the chains in her heart. Heavy chains built over years. She wanted to believe, but doubt screamed louder. "You do not know what I am," she said bitterly. "I am weak, useless. I cannot fight. I cannot heal. I am worth 10 credits and nothing more." The human shook his head. "That is what they told you. That is what they wanted you to believe. But I see more." She stared at him, confusion twisting inside her. No one had ever said such words. No one had ever looked at her with eyes that saw more than chains. Her hands trembled. She pulled at the collar around her neck, the mark of ownership. "This is what I am," she whispered. "A slave, nothing else." The human stood slowly. He reached for a tool on the wall. For a moment, fear shot through her chest. She shrank back, but instead of raising it against her, he crouched down and gently pressed the tool to the lock of her collar. With a small hiss, the lock clicked. Open, the collar fell away. Her breath froze. She touched her bare neck, stunned. The weight she had carried for years was gone. She looked up at him with wide eyes. "You are not theirs," he said firmly. "Not anymore." Her chest shook. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She had dreamed of this moment countless times, but had stopped believing it could ever be real. Yet here she was, the collar gone, her neck free. But freedom was terrifying. Her mind whispered, "What now?" Chains she could understand, chains she knew. But without them, who was she? What was she? The human seemed to read her fear. His voice Softened, you are you, and that is enough. Her tears came faster. She turned her face away, ashamed to cry. But inside her something cracked. A small piece of the wall she had built began to fall. She whispered so softly he almost did not hear. If I am not broken, then why do I still feel empty? The human's eyes softened. Because healing takes time. Scars do not vanish in a day. But you are not alone anymore. Her heart pounded. His words lingered like a light in darkness. She wanted to believe. She wanted to reach for that light. But fear held her back. As the ship drifted through the silent stars, she sat with her freed neck and trembling heart. She did not yet know what tomorrow would bring. But for the first time in many years, the chains were not only off her body, they were beginning to weaken inside her soul. Asterisk. The ship drifted through the stars, leaving the market far behind. The girl sat quietly, her hands still touching her bare neck where the collar had once been. Every time she felt the absence of metal, she shivered. Freedom felt unreal, like a dream that could vanish at any moment. The human worked at the controls, his face calm and focused. He did not speak much, but his silence was not heavy. It was steady, patient, as if he was giving her time to breathe. She studied him from the corner of her eye, waiting for the moment he would change, waiting for cruelty to appear, but it never did. Hours passed. He finally stood and left the cockpit. He returned carrying a blanket. He handed it to her without a word. She blinked in surprise. Her body hesitated before reaching for it. When her fingers touched the soft fabric, she felt warmth she had not known in years. She pulled it around herself and whispered, "Thank you." The human gave a small nod and sat across from her. His voice was quiet. "You do not have to thank me for what you deserve." Her heart twisted. She did not know how to answer. She had never deserved anything before. Not food, not kindness, not warmth. Yet here he was, giving them freely. As the ship hummed on, she asked the question that had burned in her mind. Why me? Why not someone else? The human leaned back, his eyes looking at the stars beyond the window. Because when I saw you, I saw someone who still had a spark, even under all the chains, he said. They wanted you to believe you were worthless, but I knew they were wrong. His words settled inside her like strange seeds. She did not yet believe them, but they remained, waiting. The journey stretched on. Days turned to nights in the silence of space. The human gave her food each day, clean water, and a safe place to rest. He never raised his voice, never struck her, never treated her as less. She watched him carefully, trying to find the trap, but none appeared. Slowly, her body began to change. Her skin grew warmer, her eyes brighter. The weakness in her legs lessened. Each meal gave her strength. She thought she had lost forever. She even began to sleep, real sleep without waking in fear. But though her body healed, her heart still fought against the chains inside. She still whispered to herself, I am broken, I am nothing. Whenever she was alone, one evening, as the ship floated quietly, the human pulled out a small device. It glowed faint blue and filled the cabin with gentle sounds. It was music. The girl froze. She had not heard music since childhood. The notes wrapped around her like waves, soft, tender, alive. Her eyes widened. What is this? She asked, her voice trembling. The human smiled faintly. It is human music. It helps heal the soul. She listened, and for the first time in years, her chest loosened. The sound touched places in her heart she had thought long dead. She closed her eyes, letting the melody carry her. For a moment, she forgot the cages, the chains, the laughter of the market. She was simply a girl, breathing, listening, alive. When the music ended, she opened her eyes slowly. Her voice cracked as she whispered, It feels like hope. The human nodded. Yes, that is what it is. Her hands trembled as she held the blanket tighter. Hope was dangerous, hope was fragile, but she could not deny she had felt it. Even if only for a moment. The journey continued, but whispers of danger followed them. In distant stations, traders laughed about the foolish human who bought a slave for 10 credits. Rumors spread. Some wondered why he would care. Others grew angry, believing he had stolen what belonged to the market. The girl did not know of this yet. She only felt the shift inside her. A strange pull between fear and trust, between believing she was worthless and daring to think she might be more. One night, as she lay under the blanket, she whispered, "What if they come for me? What if they take me back?" The human turned his head, his eyes sharp. "They will not," he said firmly. "I will not allow it." Her heart pounded. No one had ever spoken like that for her. No one had ever promised to stand between her and the chains. She wanted to believe him, but fear whispered louder. Still, when she closed her eyes, she remembered the music, the warmth of food, the freedom of her neck. She remembered his steady voice, and in her dreams, the chains around her soul weakened just a little more. The market had laughed at her, called her worthless, but the journey had begun, and though she did not yet know where it would end, she could feel the first steps of something new, something she thought she had lost forever: hope. The stars stretched endlessly outside the ship, bright and silent. But silence in space did not always mean safety. The human knew this well. His eyes often scanned the sensors, his hands adjusting the controls. He did not say it aloud, but danger was drawing near. The girl sensed it too. She had learned long ago how to feel the shift in the air before the storm. The way the human moved told her everything. His calm was still there, but it was sharper now, ready, alert. For many nights she had been learning what life without chains felt like. She had eaten, rested, even listened to music. But now shadows crept back into her heart. She whispered to herself, "They will come, they always come." And she was right. At a distant station, the traders had begun to stir. The news of the human's purchase had spread faster than fire. 10 credits for a slave that should have been worthless. To them, it was an insult. It made them look weak. If buyers believed humans could simply take what the market no longer valued, then control would slip through their hands. So they gathered hunters, cruel men, and aliens who thrived on pain and profit. Their task was simple: bring the girl back, alive or broken, and punish the human who dared to defy the market. Back on the ship, the girl curled under her blanket. She could not sleep. Her dreams had begun to twist again. In them she heard the laughter of the market, the echo of chains, the burn of whips. She woke trembling, her body cold. The human sat across from her, awake, watching the stars. When she whispered, "They will come for me," he did not deny it. He only said, "Then we will face them." Her heart ached. She shook her head. "No. You do not understand. I am a burden. I bring only trouble. If you keep me, they will hunt you too." The human's eyes burned with quiet fire. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "They want you back because they know the truth. They know you are worth more than chains, more than their profit. That is why they fear losing you." Her breath caught. His words cut through her doubt. But she shook her head again. "I cannot fight. I cannot help you. I am weak." "Strength is not always in the body," he answered. "Sometimes it is in the will. Sometimes it is in refusing to let them break you." Her eyes fell. She wanted to believe, but the weight of her past pressed heavy. Still, his voice left a spark, a small one, glowing against the dark. The next day, the alarms sounded. A sharp tone filled the ship. The girl flinched, fear flooding her chest. The human rushed to the cockpit, his voice steady. "They have found us." On the screen appeared 3 ships, painted black, fast and armed. The mark of hunters clear on their hulls. They moved like wolves closing on prey. The girl's chains returned in her mind. Her body shook. "It is them," she whispered. "They will take me back." The human's hands gripped the controls, his voice hard. "Not while I still breathe." The ship roared as engines pushed harder. They weaved between rocks of an asteroid field. Hunters chased close behind, their guns fired, light flashing across the dark. The girl crouched in fear, her hands over her ears. But through the thunder of weapons, she heard the human's voice, calm and strong. Hold on, I will not let them win. The ship twisted sharply, sliding through narrow gaps. Hunters followed. Two ships colliding with stone, exploding into fire, but one remained. The strongest of the pack. The girl's breath came fast. She wanted to scream, to tell him to leave her, to save himself. But when she looked at him, she saw no fear, only determination. His face was lit by the glow of controls, steady as a mountain. The hunter's ship fired again. A blast shook their vessel, alarms blaring. The girl fell to the floor. Clutching the blanket, her heart screamed, "This is my fault." The human pulled them into a roll, diving deeper into the rocks. His voice called back to her, "Look at me. Do not hide from this. You are not their slave anymore." Her eyes filled with tears. "But I cannot help you." "Yes, you can," he said, "by believing you are worth saving." The words struck her harder than any blow. For so long she had thought herself worthless. And yet here he was, risking everything, fighting for her. The hunter ship loomed close, ready for the final strike. But the humans' hands moved fast, guiding their ship into a narrow tunnel in the rock. The hunter followed, but the path was too tight. A flash of light filled space as their pursuers shattered against stone. Silence returned. Only the hum of engines remained. The human leaned back, his breath heavy, but his eyes still calm. "We are safe for now," he said. The girl stared at him, her tears falling freely. "Why?" she whispered. "Why risk everything for me?" He met her gaze, his voice steady. "Because you are not a burden, you are a life, and life is worth more than credits, more than fear, more than chains." Her chest shook. The words broke something inside her, not with pain, but with light. For the first time, she began to wonder if he was right, if she truly could be more than the broken thing the market had sold. The hunters were gone, but the battle inside her heart had only begun. The ship floated in silence after the battle. The stars outside were calm, but inside the girl's heart a storm raged. She sat on the floor, her blanket clutched tightly in her hands. Her mind whispered again and again, "This is my fault." The human moved around the cockpit, checking controls, repairing what he could. His movements were steady, but his shoulders carried the weight of exhaustion. Still, his eyes held no regret. He looked at her once, then spoke quietly. "You are safe now." She shook her head, tears falling. "No, I am not. I will never be safe. As long as I am here, they will chase us. You should leave me. You should set me free and be done with me." The human stepped closer. His voice was firm, but not harsh. "You are free already. The collar is gone, the chains are gone. You are not my slave. You owe me nothing." Her breath caught. She stared at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean," he said, kneeling down so his eyes met hers. "You can choose. If you want to leave, I will take you to any planet. You can walk away. You will owe me nothing. You will belong to no one." Her heart pounded. The word struck her like lightning. Choice. She had not heard that word in years. She had lived only under orders, every step decided by someone else. But now, this human was giving her something impossible: freedom. She trembled. "If I go, I will not survive. I do not know how." The human nodded. "Then I will teach you. If you choose to stay, but the choice is yours, not mine." Her eyes filled with tears again. The weight of the decision crushed her chest. Freedom was a dream she had once begged for, but now that it was before her, it terrified her. Chains were cruel, but they were certain. Freedom was a vast unknown. Her voice shook. "Why give me this? Why not keep me as a slave like the others did?" The human's gaze hardened. "Because you are not a thing to own, you are a person. And no person deserves chains." She covered her face with her hands. Her body shook as she whispered, "I do not know how to be free." His voice softened. "Then start with this moment. Start by deciding. Do you want to walk away from the chains, or return to them?" Her chest heaved. The question burned inside her. She thought of the market, of laughter and cruelty, of being sold for 10 credits. She thought of his voice, his food, his music, his promise. Her heart was torn between fear and hope. At last she lowered her hands, her eyes red with tears. I do not want the chains, the human nodded. Then they no longer hold you. Her lips trembled. The words felt too heavy, too large. She whispered, but what if they come again? What if I am taken back? His eyes burned with quiet fire. Then we will fight together. Her breath stopped. The word together struck her deeper than all the rest. Never before had anyone spoken of fighting with her. Only of fighting against her. Suddenly, alarms blared again. The girl flinched. Her fear returned instantly. The human rushed to the controls. His face set. They are back, he said. Another hunter ship appeared, larger and stronger than before. It had tracked them through the void, waiting for its moment. Weapons glowed as it prepared to strike. The girl froze, terror gripping her. But then, the human's voice cut through. You said you do not want chains. Then fight, even if it is. Only with your will. Show them they cannot break you again. Her heart pounded. She stood slowly, her legs shaking. She looked at the screen where the hunter ship grew closer. Her fear screamed. But beneath it, something else stirred. I will not go back, she whispered. Her voice grew louder. I will not be their slave. Again, the human glanced at her, his eyes proud. Good, he said. Then stand with me. The hunter ship fired. The human's vessel shook. Alarms screaming. But this time the girl did not curl on the floor. She held onto the seat, her eyes fierce. The chains in her mind began to snap one by one. The human twisted the controls, guiding the ship through another field of rocks. The hunter followed, powerful and relentless. The girl's fear burned, but she held tight, repeating her words. I will not go back. I will not go back. The human handed her a small panel. Watch this. Warn me if their weapons lock. Her eyes widened. He was trusting her. He was giving her a task. Her hands trembled, but she took the panel, watching the flashing lights. Now, she shouted as the lock blinked red. He pulled the ship into a dive. The enemy's blast missing by inches. Her chest surged. For the first time, she was not a burden. She was part of the fight. The chase raged on, but she no longer hid from it. Her voice steady, her hands gripping the panel, she gave warnings. He flew with precision. Together, they outmaneuvered the hunter, drawing it into a trap within the rocks. A final twist, a final strike. The hunter's own fire rebounded against stone. Its ship exploded in bright flames. The stars grew quiet again. The girl slumped in her seat, her breath heavy. Her body trembled, but her heart burned with something fierce. She looked at the human, her voice breaking. I fought, he nodded, a faint smile on his lips. Yes, you did. You chose freedom, and you stood for it. Tears filled her eyes, but they were not only tears of pain, they were something more. For the first time, she felt the weight of chains truly lifting, not just from her neck, but from her soul. The wreckage of the hunter ship drifted behind them, glowing pieces of metal fading into the endless dark. The girl sat in silence, her chest rising and falling quickly. She had never felt her heart beat so strong, never felt her blood rush with such fire. She whispered to herself, I fought, I truly fought. The human leaned back in his chair, his eyes watching her quietly. There was no laughter, no mockery, only pride in his gaze. Yes, he said softly. You stood against them. You chose freedom. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with something new. It felt strange, powerful, almost frightening. She looked down at her scarred wrists, once bound by chains, and whispered, Maybe I am not broken after all. The human nodded. You are not broken. You are alive. And life has worth beyond any credit. His words struck her heart deeply. She remembered the market, the trader's laughter, the cruel price of 10 credits. In their eyes she had been worthless. But here, in this small ship, with this one human, she felt something no one had ever given her value. Days passed. The silence of space became a comfort instead of a prison. She began to walk around the ship more freely, her steps steadier, her shoulders less bent. The fear in her eyes slowly gave way to curiosity. She asked questions about the stars, about the controls, about the worlds beyond. The human answered patiently, teaching her little by little. One evening, as they shared a simple meal, she finally asked the question that had burned inside her since the market. Why me? You could have chosen anyone. Why give everything for someone the galaxy called worthless? The human looked at her for a long moment. His voice was calm, but carried weight, because worth is not given by markets, or chains or laughter. Worth is inside, and I saw yours, even when you did not. Her eyes filled with tears, but they were not the same tears of fear she once knew. They were softer, warmer. She wiped them quickly, whispering, "Then, maybe I can find it too." He smiled faintly. "You already have." Later, when she lay under her blanket, she thought of his words. She remembered the chains, the cages, the scars, but instead of seeing only pain, she began to see strength. She had survived, she had endured, she had chosen freedom. Perhaps that meant she was more than she believed. Rumors of the destroyed hunters spread across stations. Whispers told of a human who defied the markets, who protected a slave worth only 10 credits. Some called him foolish, others dangerous, but for the girl, he was something else entirely. He was the one who gave her back her name, even if she had not yet spoken it aloud. One day, as the ship drifted quietly among the stars, the human turned to her. "Where do you want to go?" he asked. She blinked, confused. "Where?" "Yes," he said. "You are free. You can choose. Is there a place you wish to see? A world you wish to call your own?" Her lips parted. The thought was overwhelming. She had never been asked what she wanted, never given the power to choose. She thought for a long moment, then whispered, "I do not know yet, but I want to stay for now." The human nodded without question. "Then stay as long as you need." Her chest ached, but it was no longer the ache of chains. It was the ache of healing, slow but real. The market had laughed when he bought her. They had seen only a broken thing worth 10 credits, but they were wrong. She was not broken. She was not worthless. She was alive, and that alone gave her value beyond measure. As she stood by the window, watching the stars rush past, she whispered to herself, "I am free. I am worth more than they ever believed." The words felt strange on her tongue, but strong. She repeated them, louder this time. "I am free. I am worth more." The human's voice came from behind her, steady and warm. "Yes, you are." And for the first time since chains had wrapped around her body, she smiled, a real smile, small but true. Her story had begun in a cage, sold for 10 credits, mocked by all, but it did not end there. It ended with a choice, with freedom, with the truth she had almost forgotten. She had worth, and in the darkest corners of the galaxy, where chains and cruelty ruled, one human had given her back what no market could ever price: her dignity, her freedom, her true worth.